Hey everybody, this is Chris DeFirio with Keys to the Shop. Welcome to another edition of Shift Break. Today's episode is brought to you by the Ground Control Cyclops Brewer from Voga Coffee. You know, right now, the quality of our to-go coffee matters a whole lot. The experience that people have of your coffee is focused on the quality because they can't necessarily have the full experience yet. We're working on getting there. But the quality of your beverage is of paramount importance. And when you're using a brewer like the Ground Control Cyclops brewer, then you'll be leveraging SCA award-winning technology to extract the most out of your coffee. You know, having experienced this machine firsthand, I can tell you that it really changes the game and raises the bar for what is possible with a batch brewer. And it's more than a batch brewer. It's something that can brew cold brew, batch lattes, tea, cocoa. It really is a versatile machine, and it's easy to use, easy to train your staff on. It's beautiful to look at. So if in all of this, you're considering how to take your business to the next level, how to take your batch brew to the next level, then I would highly recommend you get a Ground Control Cyclops brewer. To find out more information, go to vogacoffee.com. That's VOGA coffee.com. Today's episode is also brought to you by Baratza. Baratza makes precision burr grinders that have a small footprint that are perfect for either home or commercial use. So many people are brewing coffee at home these days. They're your customers. They're using your coffee, and we want to set them up for success. And that means equipping them with the best that they could get. And Baratza has been faithfully serving the specialty coffee industry with its precision equipment for so many years. I've used them for my whole coffee career. They manufacture grinders that address the full range of possible needs in the specialty coffee industry, from espresso to French press and anything in between. So if you're brewing on it, Baratza has a grinder that's going to fit that perfectly. So to find out more information about working with this company, getting these grinders in your store and on your customers' counters, then go to their website. Again, that is baratza.com. So one of the things that I have, and probably you have, been tempted by is the addiction to short-term feel-good communication, or even short-term feel-good wins with your staff. Now, there's nothing wrong with generating a feeling of love and respect, and now there's nothing wrong with generating good feelings. That's fine. But I think you know, as well as I do, that management and working together with people, and especially when we talk about this in terms of relationship, is not only about good feelings. And oftentimes, the strongest relationships that we have in life are based on how we've handled conflict, how we've been able to get through some hard time with that person. It strengthens the bond. And there's a feeling that is born from that of mutuality that you can't really generate only by avoiding conflict, by seeking to reinforce yourself and sort of validate yourself as a manager or as an owner by having everybody like you. Not everybody is going to like you. And I don't think that, well, maybe you feel like that should be the case, okay? But anyone who's been in management for few years, or has owned a coffee bar for a few years, knows that maybe there was a time where they tried to please everybody. They just couldn't do it. They wanted to. They thought, well, I'm the owner. I'm in control. I have the authority to do this. Well, the thing is you don't have the authority over the emotions of another person. You can't control how they feel about you necessarily. To an extent, you can be a great person. You can not give them any fuel to have these thoughts about you. But ultimately, we have to embrace the idea that part of a healthy workplace is going to be a conflict in the mix. And so long game management to me is similar to how I view my interactions with my son. Now, up front, I want to say this is one of the most top of mind illustrations for me because it's my life. I am in no way saying that you as a manager or an owner are a parent. and that the staff are the children. So don't get that in your head. That's that's weird. But I think this illustration does kind of serve a purpose. One of the things that I know that is valuable is affirmation and challenge, affirmation and correction. If I never corrected or disciplined my child for things that he did that are wrong, that would lead to him being, not having a great life if he developed this habit in life, that would make me a bad parent. That's what I think, right? That I would be, if I only focused on making him like me and trying to get him to be my best friend and all that stuff, I'm not going to be doing my job as a parent. Now, that doesn't mean that those moments where we're high-fiving each other after a board game, or we have a good hug or something like that, that stuff happens, okay? But the other stuff happens too. And part of what happens with me is that I feel conflicted about the conflict, because I can see that there's this wedge that's being driven between us, where because I bring something up that is a needed correction, he starts to turn on me and starts to get a little upset, and it feels like there's a break in the relationship. Now, I could panic and say, oh, no, it's fine. And no, you're doing great in these 4, 5, 6 areas. And I'm sorry, maybe I didn't bring it up the right way. And, I can just back off that and walk it back and then, develop this habit of avoiding it and then hoping that he'll, get the picture. But actually, what I found is the best is what I'm recommending to you. And that is to embrace the conflict with a long-term view rather than a short-term view. The short-term view would be me saying, okay, I'm going to really dance around the issue. I'm going to back off from the discipline or the correction. And then I'm not doing my job, right? The long-term view is I'm going to lean into it. I'm going to do so in a way that is loving, but with the idea that there's more to our relationship than this single moment. So I'm not thinking momentarily. I'm thinking that his lifespan, right? How will this be remembered in the big picture? With your staff, I think it's really important for you to create opportunities to address things that need to be challenged, that need to be corrected head on, without fear that it's going to destroy your professional relationship, because you know what your heart is in the midst of it, and hopefully it's for their benefit. And you know that there's going to be more opportunity in the future to interact with this person, that this is not this soul defining moment for you and for the business. But oftentimes we feel that because of how fast paced everything is and how hurried we are, we don't have any big picture thinking. We feel like this is the only moment that counts. And if it doesn't go well, nothing will go well. The whole thing will just fall apart. And that's just not true. My son will be really, really mad at me for some correction or I said no about something, but I had to. And then later on, it's over. And he knows that I am not going to stay mad about something. And I know he's not going to stay mad about something. And the relationship is proven over time and not necessarily in that specific moment. We let a lot of things slide, and we don't address issues that need to be addressed in the cafe or the performance of an employee because we don't want to have negative feelings impact us. We don't want somebody to be upset. We don't want to be upset. We got into coffee not because we want to be upset. We got into it because we like it and we like people. And it feels like those things are threatened when we bring somebody into the office or we talk to them about an issue. But if we are to do our job well and set them up for success, how dare we not have those conversations? How is it that we could really be working for our staff if we are not going to both affirm them and challenge them to grow? And that oftentimes will look like correction, even discipline about being on time, about cleanliness, about bar-side manner. And the reverse is true. Are they doing well in those things? Are we affirming them? There's a balance there, but we tend to fall too heavily sometimes on on one or the other, of course, you don't want to just be correcting people. I'm talking to those of you who have a really hard time getting in the middle of conflict. Now, you folks who are really only about correction and being like a disciplinarian, maybe there's a different episode for you. But today, I think we need to really focus on the idea that long game management embraces the moment as a building block of a greater structure than just that moment. So embrace these opportunities, have these awkward conversations, embrace the conflict, and know that it's not going to define you. Now, you might do something or say something that's way off and crosses a line. Now, that will define you. If you go over the line as a boss and you do something that is damaging, and this happens, unfortunately, and way too often in our industry, that will define you. Okay, but if you're sitting somebody down, they're getting annoyed at you because you're on them about, how they are having terrible closes, then that's not the same thing. Especially now, I think it's really important for us to recognize that because of the trauma of the situation we're going through and everyone's on pins and needles with, what's going to happen, it's easy for us to forget that it's not just about making sure everybody has good feelings. It's about making sure that everybody is being taken care of and that the business is being taken care of also. And that conflict is going to happen. And it might feel like you're piling onto a person if you have to talk to them about something. Don't avoid talking to somebody about something because of COVID or because of, current situations or because of anything else. You really do need to make sure that you're pursuing accountability in your store, regardless of what's happening out around your store. You can be sensitive, but it doesn't mean that you are become derelict in your responsibility as a manager. This is still a business, and you still need to run a business. And the people who work for the business have signed up to do that. And they expect you to be a boss, to be the manager, to be the authority. And that means that you have to embrace these opportunities and not procrastinate on them because you feel like, it's just awkward or I don't want them to be mad at me or something like that. Again, view these as building blocks. These moments are just part of a larger structure that you're building. And when you approach these things for the benefit of the individual, for the benefit of the business, and you're not worried about validating yourself or getting affirmation for yourself as a boss with these cheaper, short-term good feelings, and you focus on creating a mature and healthy environment based on both affirmation and challenge, then we're going to have a more resilient business. We're going to have better relationships with more mutual respect. And I think cafes could use a lot more of those things. So I hope that this was a helpful episode for you. Thank you so much for joining me. And I will see you here next week on another edition of Shift Break, from keys to the shop.